Holly Fulger, and I am the CEO and founder of True Beauty Discovery. We are a nonprofit, and our goal is to allow women and girls to understand that it's their individuality that makes them beautiful and to step into their power as individuals and understand their worth in the world. Today, I'm interviewing Jessie James Keitel. Hi, Jessie.
Hi, thank you for having
And
me.
oh, thanks for being here. I'm thrilled, Jessie. I'm just thrilled to talk to you. I think that I've been watching Big Sky, and you're remarkable in it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been quite a journey doing a show during a pandemic, and now getting an opportunity to do a second season feels like a gift.
I bet. So tell me about growing up. Like, I just want to know who you are and how you discovered who you were, in terms of your sexuality, how just who you are and how what that was like for you as a child growing up, if you're okay to talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like I have come out 8,000 times in 8,000 different ways. As we kind of get a better understanding of ourselves and like where we fit in the world and like where we want to fit. Um, I think growing up, I had a great childhood. I grew up Eastern Long Island. I had a lot of friends. Um, I was artistic, and I had some like crazy funny hair, and it was my hair and my style that was the closest to me because it was my self expression. And then I feel when it came time to step into the professional world, I felt I needed to really neutralize myself, and um, remove the things that made me special and unique to kind of fit a wider array of boxes. And in doing that, I think for a while, for a few years, I actually lost a bit of myself. Like when your identifier is something that is an outward expression of your inner self and you remove that, it's easy to feel lost. So I think by the time I finished college, I really and I had years of pretending of like, my idea of what you needed to do to be an actor, to be a successful actor. I um i graduated college and I was miserable. I was in the real world and I was like, I don't know where I fit anymore. I feel like I used to, and now I don't. So friends and I turned to the artistry of makeup and like costume design and et cetera, et cetera. And we started going out in nightlife in New York. And it was through this kind of avant garde expression of drag that we all just found a reimagined sense of self, a revitalized artistic um, inspiration again, where we enjoyed being artists again for the first time in a while. And in that process, I allowed myself to express myself again in a way that I hadn't given myself the permission to in the past. And I think really stepped into my own.
So you found your way.
I think we all do eventually. I'm still finding it.
Me
You
too.
know, life is long. I feel we change on the daily. We're ever evolving. But yeah, I definitely think I found my way.
So when you were growing up and you were acting a lot, when you were in high school, right? You were in the, what sort of, what sort of roles spoke to you, or what did you do? Musical theater? Did you do, you know,
Well,
um,
I started in musical theater,
yeah.
and I started in musical theater and did some plays in high school, and like late middle school. Um, I didn't really know. I kind of just, the roles that I like looked at and went, wow, I would love to play that. Were these like strong, incredible women who just had these like badass roles, like Reno Sweeney in Anything Goes. Like what a fun role that I felt I would never be given an opportunity to play. And I think I was a skinny kid. I still am, but I'm trans, if that wasn't clear to any of the viewers, if that wasn't known. So my, being like a small, skinny, effeminate, um, and navigating a space as a boy was uncomfortable in many ways. There was a disconnect because I wasn't connecting with the roles that I was being asked to perform, because that's not really what I was doing, internally. And it wasn't until I was given the permission to kind of break the mold a bit. And I gotta say, I think I'm the one who gave myself that permission. Um, that I started finding success as an actor, because it wasn't that I wasn't good at the roles I was doing. It was simply they were not the roles meant for me.
Right. Right. It's that connection thing where you
Yeah, and
connect with your soul.
I think Big Sky is a great example. It's a role that has really evolved, from kind of like a victim to, and you'll see in the second season, someone who is really triumphant and really strong and really powerful. And uh, you know, socially, systemically, when we view power, like when you think powerful, I think many times the image associated with that definition is a man.
Right.
And so it feels really correct to embody a space, um, as a woman, that is still like a powerful, commanding presence, and it doesn't sacrifice her femininity in any way. It's been a lovely learning experience.
I read that you had said that when you were growing up, if you had had a character like this to see when you were growing up, on television or something, it would have changed, it would have helped you and changed your world a
Oh,
lot.
of course. Having that's, I think, the beauty of representation is seeing yourself portrayed in a way that is accurate and beautiful and um, true to life. I think growing up there weren't many LGBT characters on television, and the ones I can remember were like effeminate gay men, which is that the closest thing I had at the time to understanding myself? Yes. Was it something I ever enjoyed identifying with? No. And so when I was compared to someone like Kurt on Glee, it it never felt correct, and I felt like I was not being seen, because I didn't have the language or the vocabulary or the understanding of myself to really know what my place in the world really was. And moving on from that, like if there were a character like Jerry Kennedy from Big Sky when I was growing up, I think it would have allowed me the freedom to say, like, there are more options in this life than what you've been given.
Mhm.
You are the keeper of your character. You are the keeper of yourself. If how society has boxed you in does not align with your soul and your lived experience, you do have the power to change that. You do have the power to walk through the world the way you want to. And I think that's what drag and makeup also taught me. When it was never really about like gender when we were doing that. But it takes so much confidence to, one, it takes also a certain skill level to achieve a look you want to make. But then it takes a lot of confidence to walk out in the world that way. And, half the time we looked like clowns. And it was walking through the world like this, kind of scary looking clown, teaches you a lot about yourself. It's Some people would say that like all that makeup and costume, etc., was a mask, and I would disagree. I would actually say it was like a megaphone from the soul. It allowed you to go 1,000% in one direction in the safety of the nighttime, And then during the day, you wake up and you now have permission to reel it back to whatever level you want, whatever level that means for you. And I think that's what feeling lonely and upset about acting and in New York afforded me, is we took a risk, and I think it taught us so much about ourselves that, like, if my younger self could see me now and knowing where this bizarre journey has taken me, I I think my younger self would be very proud.
Oh, I'm getting all, yeah. How, I'm a little bit speechless right now. I think for me growing up, I mean, I think that everybody you have this weird little window of it's changing, but it's still, kind of this narrow little window of how you're supposed to look and be. And it's just, and I think without that representation, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this nonprofit was I, I can't imagine. I mean, I've tried to look like it's something for years, and it messes with you. It just messes with who you are. And when you kind of can reconcile that and become who your soul wants you to be, it's a very different thing. And I hear that with you. I've gone on your Instagram page and I've seen Peroxide, and I've seen those beautiful, I've seen you're stunning, and the makeup is just beautiful. It's beautiful. And I applaud you, I mean, that scene in Big Sky, that scene, Look at Me, that's a powerful scene. What was that like filming that? And for the viewers who are watching this, it's a scene where describe the scene. You describe it, not me.
So for people who haven't seen the show, in the very beginning stages of it, I'm an aspiring musician who moonlights as a truck stop sex worker, and I get kidnapped and sold into sex trafficking. And there's a scene where my captor is getting me cleaned up to go be sold. And I reveal to him that I am trans. And it's a powerful scene that scared me, not because it involved nudity, not because of anything. That I think it teetered on something that made me uncomfortable. And uncomfortable not in an exciting way that you should lean into, but in a way that needed to be done very carefully, very delicately, because it had a few things that almost didn't work. It was almost a reveal trope, like, oh, look, gotcha. It was almost one of those, but it wasn't, because the audience already knew. Then there was taking off a wig, and the wig, I felt it delivered a message of like detransitioning, like taking the wig, like the wig is an identity. It wasn't. The wig was a disguise to hide her identity while she was acting as a sex worker. And I worried that people would misinterpret that scene as something I know that they didn't want it to be. And my co-star Brian Garrity, he delivered his half of the scene with such empathy for my character, and I think his empathy for Jerry strengthened Jerry's, like, made it a powerful moment. And it was a moment of defiance, when in reality, Jerry putting herself in a situation like that could very realistically kill her. She knew that. So me as an actor, knowing how often queer, trans, non-binary, etc. people are put in positions of violence, I had to make a smart decision on why Jerry would do that. And so it was very difficult. It was a difficult scene it was like walking a tightrope. But it was fun. At the end of the day, I had a lot of fun with it. And um, I'm glad it resonates with people.
It does resonate. Okay, I'm kind of obsessed, so I've been binging. So, I'm I was watching that before you came on. Um, but it's it's and your story when you tell your story to, I don't remember her name, the blonde.
Danielle.
Yeah, when you tell your story, that's pretty powerful as well.
I think you're in for a real treat with the second season. Jerry gets a really nice storyline, and it's exactly what I wanted for her character.
Have you been able to work with the writers and have input? Yes.
I wouldn't say I've had input in the first season. There were times when I thought I'm outspoken, and knowing I was representing a marginalized community on a network television show that would be seen by millions of people, I felt an extremely strong sense of purpose and responsibility to make sure what we were doing was good and correct. And I don't mean good in terms of like the quality of the show, but I mean that the narratives we were telling around this character were not damaging. That the show's, the majority of the viewership is like middle America. A lot of a lot of people who are like my parents' age and older. It's a demographic of people who may not necessarily know a young trans person. And so if this is their only introduction to a trans person, is Jerry Kennedy, that introduction needs to be positive. And I don't mean that everything about the character has to be positive. I love seeing queer characters be messy and bad people and a real human. But if the story is going to tell dangerous tropes, things that like, and I've said this in interviews before, Jerry formerly being a sex worker. There are many trans people who are sex workers, but there are also trans people who are doctors. And there's also trans people who are private investigators and computer scientists and astronauts, or aspiring astronauts. I don't think there has been a trans astronaut. But you know what I mean? There are so many ways to tell a story about this character. And I was so terrified of telling a damaging story that I was very outspoken and always called the producers. It was like, hi, you need to change that. Hi, we need to change this. Whether they listened or not is a different story. But, moving forward, I got GLAAD involved for the second season to ensure that the storytelling is taking the responsibility that it needs to. Mm-hmm. And especially if, the character is groundbreaking for network television in many ways. It's, long-winded answer to, no, I didn't have input, but I spoke up. And now for the second season, I am a consultant.
You are?
I am. So it's, I wouldn't say I have any input on the story, but I am paid and credited for any input from my lived experience or from the people I know and love and my knowledge of the community to the story. So that's my long-winded answer for that.
So, okay, I have the corny question. If you could, and you kind of touched on it, but if you could sit down with your 8-year-old self or your 12-year-old self, what would you say? How would you, how would you talk to that younger person of you?
I think, first off, I'd say I think the younger version of me would be in awe. Say, you got it, bitch. keep going. You know, um, I, I think I lived a little bit of a sheltered life. You know, I come from a smaller town. That's definitely more blue collar, politically conservative, et cetera, et cetera. Um, but I had a great time in middle school and high school. I was popular. I had a lot of friends. I had friends in a lot of different cliques. I was in a ton of clubs. I was an overachiever. I was, you know, I always I didn't make a spectacle of myself, but I stood out for many reasons. How I looked, how I dressed, but also how involved I was with the world around me. And I think I was in for a rude awakening when I started to learn that the world wasn't as kind and open and as accepting as I had grown up to think it was. And I am so proud of my younger self, like my 12-year-old self, for really embracing my individuality. And it was like my 15, 16-year-old self, my 17-year-old self. Not 15, 16. 15, 16 was also cool. My 17 to 21-year-old self that I feel bad for. That kind of just after getting a small taste of some hatred in the world, it was that person who I think I would say, you were right all along.
Thank you. I have a few more questions though. So this is just me being on your Instagram page, seeing that Dior, you in that Dior gown. Oh my God. Unbelievably gorgeous. Are you working with them? Was that just a?
It's a budding relationship.
Yeah.
It's a growing relationship. I gotta say, I never in my life thought I would be embraced by like a beauty powerhouse of something like Dior. You know, I think my, you know, beauty isn't something that I ever thought was available to me. Even if I, you know, was like relatively pretty, like as a younger like kid, you know, like having certain like dainty features and being like tiny, you know, like it didn't, if people called me that, it didn't matter because I still wasn't given access to being beautiful. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't until I kind of in my adult life, this is still new to me in many ways. Being embraced for the beauty that is my femininity. That's not something as a kid that I was given the opportunity to do. You know, I didn't look like that at prom. I can say like it's actually very heartbreaking in a lot of ways, but it's feeling embraced by a company like Dior feels very surreal.
It's just stunning that just, you know, the little video clips and that gown and how, oh my God, it's gorgeous. It really is.
It was a dream come true.
I must have
It's
been
just
so.
the beginning. We
Oh,
have a lot more to go.
that's just I'll be watching. I'm like your biggest fan. So anything coming up next, or what are you real excited about, or what you're really busy? I know that.
Yeah, it's a very, very exciting year coming up. So I've got season 2 of Big Sky that we're still filming right now. And then I'm going to be one of the leads of the Queer as Folk reboot.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I start filming that in a couple weeks.
I saw that. Yay.
And I'm so excited for that. And then there's a super secret project that I can't say much about, but it is going to be out of this world.
I will look forward to it.
Yeah.
I think you're fantastic. I could go on and on. I'm so happy to talk to you. And everything that you talk about and you're about is so in line with True Beauty Discovery. It's so about how we want to change things, how we want to change how individuals are presented, how we want to have more diversity, more inclusion, and allow individuals to express themselves and their beauty. And you're all about that. That's who you are. I admire you. Your work is beautiful. Your
Oh,
work
thank
is
you.
stunning. It really is. Again, I get sort of speechless, tongue tied, and I get sort of gobsmacked because I'm thrilled to talk to you. But Jessie, I think you're the real deal. I think you're quite something. I adore you.
Well, thank you. The feeling is mutual,
I
and
know.
I'm honored to be part of this. And like, thank you for doing this work, and especially what you're doing with like younger girls. And this is important. It's important to know that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. I
I love
think
you.
you're just,
Thank you.
hey, just always know that I will cut this. Just always know that I'll be watching you on Instagram and I'll be rooting you on, Jessie. I could start crying. You are just, I really could. I think you're phenomenal. I think you're so special. And I feel honored to talk to you.
Oh, thanks.
I
No,
know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's taken so long.
Oh, please.
I feel honored to be included.
Oh,
Michael spoke so highly of you and this, and
oh, he's been part of it from the beginning. And I've known him since I was 21. And he's seen my struggle with being an actor and beauty, and he's seen it. And I think that's why he just wanted to be on the board, because he's known what I've gone through and how important it is to me. And I remember when he mentioned you, I was so excited. So you keep on keeping on. You just keep doing it. And
you too, girl. I'm excited for you and
I
this.
will. And I'll send you, once I get it's sort of, I have to get it to the editor, and we're sort of planning how to roll out the interviews. So once I get it, I can send it to you. And if you don't, we can cut things if you don't like it or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, sorry if I spoke a little long answers, but
No, I loved it. No, we could speak forever. I'm happy to do that. And also, we probably want to put sort of pictures in with some stuff. And I don't know copyright wise if we can do that or not. I don't know. So maybe, who knows?
I say go for it.
I'll go for it. And if it doesn't let it on YouTube, then no. But all right, I have to go back and watch you. I have to go back and
How far along are you in the season?
I'm on 4.
Okay.
I'm on 4.
You're in for a treat.
I can't even, I'd watched the pilot a while ago, and then I just started to pick up again. So yeah.
Yeah, you're in for a treat. I think five is one of my favorites.
Okay, I can't wait. Okay.
Well, enjoy. I'll talk
All
to you
right, okay. Big love to you.
Bye.
Thank you. Keep in touch. All right, honey.
You too.
Bye.